Hello and welcome to this session on psychology determinants of teleworkers' outcome in multinational and foreign link companies in Malaysia, a self-determination theory and job demands resources review. This study asks a simple but important question. Why do some teleworkers remain motivated, productive, and psychologically healthy while others experience strain, detachment, and withdrawal under what appears to be the same remote or hybrid arrangement? The central argument is that teleworker outcome depends not only on the task or technology, but on how work design interacts with employees' psychological needs. My name is Elango Pushpalingam, a DBA candidate with the School of Postgraduate Studies, King's University College, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. My supervisor is Associate Professor Dr. Rashad Yasdanifard, the Dean of Postgraduate Studies. In the next 15 minutes, I will cover 6 parts. First, I will explain why this topic matters. Second, I outline the integrated theoretical lens using self-determination theory and job demands resources model. Third, I discuss telework design. Fourth, I turn to monitoring technology, support, and leadership. Fifth, I explain why the Malaysian multinational context changes the analysis. Finally, I close with outcomes, key takeaways, and practical implications. Teleworker is no longer a temporary response to crisis. It has become part of normal organization of work, especially in multinational and foreign link firms that depend on digital platforms, remote supervision, cross-border reporting, and virtual collaboration. But the outcomes are uneven. Some employees report greater flexibility, better concentration, and improved work-life fit. Others experience constant availability, digital fatigue, isolation, and pressure to remain visible from a distance. In Malaysia, this issue becomes even more complex because teleworkers in multinational settings are often influenced by several layers at once: workload, technology quality, monitoring system, supervisor accessibility, and expectation shaped by regional or global headquarters. So the papers here really is trying to answer a practical question. What helps teleworkers remain satisfied, productive, and psychologically healthy over time? And what instead pushes them towards detachment and withdrawal? The paper addressed that question by integrating two complementary theories. The first is self-determination theory, SDT, focus on three basic psychological needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. In other words, people function better when they feel they have some choice in how they work, when they feel capable and effective, and when they feel connected to other people in a meaningful way. The second is job demand resource model. JDR explains how job demands such as overload, ambiguity, interruption, or digital strain can drain energy, while job resources such as support, role clarity, usable technology, and autonomy can sustain motivation, engagement, and performance. Put simply, SDD helps explain the inner psychological experience, while JDR help explain the structural condition around that experience. That combination matters because telework is not only a motivational issue and not only a work design issue, it is both at once. A telework system may look efficient on paper, but if employees experience it as controlling, isolation, or competence undermining, the outcome will likely be poorer over time. A central point in the review is that remote and hybrid work should be understood as design issues. Telework can create real resources. For example, it may give employees more control of timing and pacing, reduce commuting, and remove some office distraction. At the same time, It can also create demands. Boundaries may weaken, communication may become slower or more formal. Hybrid arrangement may create visibility inequalities. An employee may feel pressure to be permanently available. So the key point is that telework outcome depends less on whether employee work remotely and more on the quality of the arrangement itself. A badly designed telework system can turn flexibility into pressure. The next issue is control and competence. Electronics performance monitoring, or EPM, is often introduced for coordination, visibility, or accountability. However, the review suggests that when monitoring becomes intrusive, it is more consistently associated with stress and distrust than with stronger performance. That matters because monitoring changes the meaning of work. Employees may begin to work in order to satisfy the monitoring system rather than to engage meaningfully with the task itself. Technology adequacy is equally important. When digital systems are reliable, integrated, and well matched to the task, they become job resources. They reduce friction, support competence, and help teleworkers coordinate effectively across distance. But when systems are fragmented, unstable, or difficult to use, they create technostress, undermining confidence and intensifying coordination problems. So monitoring and technology are not neutral background features. They are active parts of work design, and they directly shape whether telework feels supportive or burdensome. The review also shows that telework depends heavily on social architecture of work. Organization support includes timely information, accessible supervisors, flexibility, recognition, inclusion, training, and adequate resources. This factor matter because physical distance can easily become psychological distance. When employees do not see managers or colleagues in person, they rely more heavily on communication quality and responsiveness to judge whether they are valued and supported. Leadership is especially important here. An autonomy supportive leader gives rationale, listens to employees' perspective, provides structure, and avoids unnecessary control. By contrast, a controlling leader can make telework feel rigid even when the formal policy appears flexible. So in telework, leadership does not become less important. In many ways, it becomes more important because tones, clarity, and responsiveness travel through mediated communication rather than daily in-person interactions. The Malaysian context strengthens the paper's argument. Teleworkers in multinational and foreign-linked companies in Malaysia often operate in such systems that were designed elsewhere. They may work under imported reporting structure, communication norms, assumption about responsiveness, and ideas about what accountability should look like. That can create what the paper calls interpretive mismatch. For example, what headquarters interprets as efficiency or empowerment may be experienced locally as impersonality, abandonment, or control. Likewise, what is intended as delegation may not always be experienced as autonomy support. In some contexts, it may feel like reduced guidance or weak managerial presence. So the Malaysian context strengthens the argument that telework cannot be understood through generic remote work model alone. It has to be read through cultural variation, cross-border design, and local working realities. The review brings these issues together through four major outcomes: job satisfaction, productivity, work withdrawal, and psychological well-being. Job satisfaction tend to improve when telework feels manageable, meaningful, and supported. Productivity is more complicated. because high output may reflect a healthy system, but it may also reflect a hidden overwork, monitoring pressure, or poor recovery. Withdrawal in telework may be less visible than in office setting. It can appear through delayed responses, low initiative, emotional disengagement, or doing only the minimum required. And psychological well-being is the broadest outcome of all because it tells us whether telework is genuinely sustainable over time rather than only efficient in a short term. At this stage, three conclusions stand out clearly. First, telework is neither automatically good nor automatically harmful. Its effects are conditional and on how the work is designed, managed, and experienced. Second, integrating SDT and JDR gives a strong explanation than using either theory alone, because it links psychological need satisfaction with the demand resource structure of work. Third, the contact matters, especially in Malaysian multinational foreign link organizations where imported systems and local realities meet each other every day. The practical message is that effective telework is not mainly about granting formal flexibility. It's about building a work system that employee can function within sustainably. That means setting realistic availability norms, protecting recovery time, using monitoring cautiously and transparently, investing in dependable digital infrastructure, and training managers to lead in autonomy supportive way. It also means sustaining social connection across distance because telework can weaken belonging if organizations treat communication as purely transactional. For multinational and foreign link companies in Malaysia, there's an added implication. Global systems should not simply be transferred and assumed to work equally well everywhere. They need local adaptation. To conclude, the paper shows that teleworkers' outcomes are shaped by interactions between psychological need satisfaction and the demand resource structure of remote work. Telework is most likely to succeed when organizations protect autonomy, build competence, sustain relatedness, and keep demands within manageable limits. So the main contribution of the review is not only to explain telework but to show why telework becomes sustainable only when psychological and structural conditions are properly aligned. Thank you very much.